Even though the problem in this case, for sample problem number 6, does not specifically say that you will neglect boiling point rise, but whenever you see this phrase, the boiling point of the solution, referring to the boiling point of water and the solid, whatever solid may be present of it, is the same as that. Where is it? Assume also that the specific heat of the solution is the same as that for water. Then it's okay that you will assume that this particular problem will not consider any boiling point elevation or boiling point rise, because the specific heat of the solution of water and whatever solid it may contain is the same as that of pure water. So it's okay that you will assume no BPR or BPE in this case. So the only difference of this problem from number 5, the previous one, is that this one is that it does not have any BPR. Okay, so you're asked for the steam calculate the quantity of steam required per hour. So, and then the heat transfer area is 1.74. By the way, this is 1.74, and quantity of steam, kilogram of steam. This one, the answer that I provided in here is not anymore the kilogram of steam per hour used, but rather it's the evaporator economy or the steam economy. How much steam is being used per kilo of water that is evaporated? 1.17 kilogram of steam per kilogram of water that is being used. Or this is your steam economy in this case, or evaporator economy. Oftentimes class, when evaporator economy is being asked, it's actually kilogram of water evaporated per kilogram of steam that is used. In this case, the answer that is provided is that for steam divided by kilo of water that is being used. So just do the computation, and this is the numeric value for that. And this is the area. Okay, 1.74. We'll not go through this anymore because anyhow, this is simpler than the first one. Doesn't have any boiling point rise. For number 7, you have 50,000 per hour of a 20% aqueous solution of NaOH. It's already 28%, so this has to consider boiling point elevation. As the first question is already the boiling point elevation. And since this is also single effect, just like 6 and 5, you may do this on your spare time so that we can go to this one. The 8th sample problem, which is a triple effect evaporator system. I have already the values here with me. All you have to do is double check from your end when you do your practice solving, or when you do practice solving. That way you will know how to go about the solution of this problem. Because if I need to wait for all the info to be supplied by you, we will not be able to finish everything until 12. So in this case, you're given a triple effect evaporator, which is used to concentrate a feed solution containing 5% solid to 40%. Since this is 5% solid, then this is multiple effect evaporation system without BPR because it's just 5% solid. The feed enters the second effect at 180 degrees Fahrenheit. I use this problem because the usual case is the feed is being supplied or is entering the system at the first effect. In this case, your feed is introduced in the second effect. You're given its temperature here. You are to concentrate it in the second effect and in the third effect. And the final concentrated product will going to live in the first effect. So can you imagine this one? The final concentrated product leaves the first effect, contrary to the usual that it's leaving the last effect. The steam supply to the first effect is saturated at 250 degrees Fahrenheit, and the third effect is maintained at 110 degrees Fahrenheit. The heat exchanger areas are equal at 1,500 square feet. The heat exchanger areas that are being mentioned here is the calandria inside your evaporators. So that's your heat exchanger areas. Now, these are the bundle of tubes where actual heat transfer occurs. Boiling point elevation is negligible, as I have pointed out, because you're dealing with a feed that is just 5% solids. And for all solutions, even though it is to reach at 40% at most solids, you are to neglect the BPR. Specific heat is 1.0 BTU per pound degree Fahrenheit, specific heat of water, and heat loss due to radiation can as well be neglected. Overall coefficients for the three effects are 300, 500, and 400, respectively. So for this system, you are to determine the steam economy. So this is what I mentioned a while ago, that oftentimes the evaporator economy or the steam economy is always water evaporated per kilogram of steam that is being used. So in this case, it's 2.9, and you have here the corresponding amount of feed that is processed. So the feed enters the second effect. Concentrate from the second effect is concentrated in the third effect, and the concentrate from the third effect is introduced in the first effect. That way, your final product leaves the first effect. Okay? So you are to determine as well the amount of the feed, because in this case, the feed is not given. Okay, so take a screenshot of the problem. So when I draw the schematic diagram later as we solve, you can go back to this problem. That way you will be able to follow through and understand what we are doing. Okay? Second. Okay. So this is how our multiple effect evaporation system will look like. The box I place inside each of these big boxes, the small boxes that is represents your calandria. So as stated in the problem, your steam, your heating medium is introduced in the first effect. So just like any normal multiple effect evaporation system, this is where your steam is introduced. So I'd like to use our heating medium. I like to use the color red for the heating medium. So this is our steam. And of course, you will have the first condensate from the first effect. Now I'll use this one, red, the vapor from the first effect. So we have learned, so you have learned, will be the heating medium in the second effect. And in the process, produce as well your C2, your condensate in the second effect. The vapor on the second effect is going to heat up your solution in the third effect and produce in the process your condensate in the third effect. Now, I like to use the color green for our feed. So our feed is going to be introduced in the second effect. So, sorry. Okay, this one na lang. Okay. This is where our feed is to be introduced. So it should not be there. This is where your feed is. The concentrate from the second effect will be further concentrated in the third effect. So this is L2, still labeled as L2. And this is the feed, it's being fed to the third effect. The concentrate here is to be fed in the first effect. You will have L3 for this. Her final product is L1. I hope you get the idea now. This L1 is to have a solid content of 0.4. You can refer to the problem in which you took the screenshot of. Uh, for the feed, our feed is only 5% solid. So this is your feed. And its temperature is 180 degrees Fahrenheit. It was also mentioned that in the third effect, that temperature here the temperature in the third effect is 110. So always refer to the problem that is provided. And you're given the overall heat transfer coefficients for each effect. So this, for the first effect, you have 300. For the second effect, you have 500. And in the third effect, you have 400. Else. Your evaporator, your multiple effect evaporator system, just like any evaporator, will be uniform in size. So its area for heat transfer will be all 1,500 square feet. Okay. What else? Oh, of course, in the last effect, you have also the vapor leaving. But I think this goes to your condenser already to be condensed to liquid. It is stated in the problem that Cp of the solution is just the same for water. That is why it does not have BPE. So BTU per pound degree F. BPE and radiation loss is negligible. Okay. So go over the problem that was just read a while ago and check whether we missed anything there. So you are to determine the feed. This is the given. The required is the actual amount of the feed. It's not given here. And the evaporator or steam economy, which is water evaporated per kilogram steam used. Okay? So you might as well take a screenshot of this now so you can go back later while we are doing the solution to this problem. Okay, we'll proceed now with the solution. What is good about this problem is it does not have any VPR. So the process of going through the steps is shorter than when it has VPR. So you can refer to the unpublished to the added procedure if you need to consider BPR for a multiple effect evaporation system. Just like the normal thing we do, whether it has BPR or not, single effect or multiple effect, we always start with the overall material balance. So your feed in here should be equal to the total water evaporated plus, take note, the final product, which is L1. We are so used We're so used that our final product is withdrawn in the last effect. So in this case, as being described in the problem, your final product is withdrawn in the first effect. So don't commit the grievous mistake of writing L3 here. Your final product is L1. And so far, all of these are unknown. I'm referring to the streams. So this will be our first equation. If you do our overall solid balance, just like the rest of the solid balance that we did, it will simply be the solid content of the feed to the solid content of the final product. Now, since the feed is not given, we can use a basis or an assumption which we can later on correct. So an basis or an assumption of F equal to 1,000 pounds per hour. So if we do make this assumption, then we have 1,000 times the solid content of the feed, which is 5%. And you have L1 and its solid content, which is 40%. In here, you get L1 to be 125 pounds. So this is on the basis of an hour operation. Now from equation 1, you'll be getting 1,000 equal to B plus 125. So it will give you a V value of 875 pounds. Okay. Now, we go to the first assumption that we do with multiple effect evaporation, that the total water evaporated, this one is the V that appears here in our overall material balance, and it has to be equal for all effects. So then it follows that we will have 875 divided by 3. So your V1, your V2, and your V3 will be 291.67 pounds. Right? So that's for your water evaporated for each of your effects. Morning. Then we proceed with determining the delta T, the driving force for heat transfer, which is the difference of the steam temperature and the temperature of the last effect. In this case, it's T3. Now, the T3 is already given to be 110 if you refer to the illustration here. It's 110. So we'll just simply substitute it here in the formula. So you have 250 minus 110. So that would be 140 degrees Fahrenheit. This would be already your delta T. And we have this assumption that your Q for all effects will be equal for this multiple effect evaporation system, which is, of course, like this, Q1 equal to Q2 equal to Q3. This Q1, Q2, and Q3 is U1, A1, delta T1, delta T1, and you have U2, A2, delta T2, and U2, A3, delta T3. All the areas has to be equal since we don't design our system to be non-identical. All our effects are identical in terms of size. So it follows that you will have U1 delta T1, U2 delta T2, equal to U3, sorry, this is U3, delta T3. Now in here we can get that delta T2 is equal to U1 over U2 delta T1. The same way we can say that delta T3 is equal to U1 over U3 delta T1. If you notice, our delta T2 and delta T3 are all expressed in terms of delta T1. You'll see it later why. And they are simply multiplied to constants, which are your overall heat transfer coefficients. So we know that our summation, actually this is the summation of delta T. So our summation of delta T, the overall driving force for heat transfer, will be the sum of all delta T's, delta T1, delta T2, and delta T3. So you get to see the reason why we express the other delta T's in terms of the T1, so that we will have all our summation, or we will have our delta T in terms of delta T1, and we can solve for it. So we'll have delta T1 plus, you copy this one, so your 300 over 500 U1 over U2 delta T1, refer to the given in the first slide. And you have here 300 over 400 delta T1 for delta T3. Since delta T1 is the only unknown here, we equate our summation of delta T to 140. So you'll be getting your delta T1 value for 59.57 degrees F. Your delta T2 follows, which is 35.74 degrees F. And your delta T3, I'll just write it here, is 44.68 degrees F. So you have all delta T's. And from here, if you can still remember our temperature distribution diagram, just a rectangle which you divide depending on the number of effects that you have. The upper temperature in your divided rectangle is the temperature of the steam, which is 250 degrees Fahrenheit. This is the boiling point of the first effect. So what you do, 250, you subtract from it the delta T1 of 59.57. If you can recall how we do it in our HMT, then 250 minus delta T1 should give you 190.43. This 190.43, if you subtract from that the delta T2, will give you the boiling point of the solution in the second effect. So you'll have 154.69 degrees F. And the last, for the boiling point of the last effect, this is just but a checking. The 154.69, if you subtract delta T3 from that, it should give you the boiling point in the last effect, which is provided in the problem. So more or less, you'll know whether you're doing the right thing if you do the step-by-step subtraction here, starting from the temperature of the steam down to the boiling point of the last effect, it will really go back to the original that is given in the problem, which is 110. Okay? So now you have the boiling points of each of the effect, which you will be using for the enthalpies of the vapor in each effect. So we're now going to get the lambdas and the enthalpies and the lambdas, that is another one. So from your steam table, for your steam for TS equal to 250 degrees Fahrenheit, you'll be getting a lambda S. You can do the checking later. 945.6 BTU per pound. Now, for the vapor in the first effect, or we just place here, for effect 1, you will use the T1. The T1 from where? From the temperature distribution diagram, which is 190.43, to get the HF. You get the H1 here. That's the saturated vapor enthalpy. The answer of which is 1142.26 BTU per pound. And since you'll be using as well its saturated vapor enthalpy here, so I will just simply write it as HL1. No, you will be confused that this is liquor. So H1. H1, this is for the liquid because we're using HL for the liquor. The saturated liquid enthalpy at this temperature of your solution in effect 1. So I'll just have it a small letter H1. So your H1 is 158.46 BTU per pound. So you'll be getting a lambda for this. This will be your lambda 2 because remember that your vapor in the first effect is being used as the heating medium for the second effect. So we'll just have this labeled as lambda 2 and this is your 983, or if not, we'll just leave it as is because you might get confused. We'll just subtract it later when we do the energy balance. Now for the second effect, this is effect 1. For the second effect, of course, you use the temperature, which is 154.69 degrees F. Still coming from the temperature distribution diagram here, that one. Do the same thing, determine the H2. That would be 1,127.98 BTU per pound. And you have H2, this is for the liquid. You have it. Actually, this is the condensate already. The condensate for the heating medium that is being used in the third effect because this is your vapor from the second effect. So liquid has an enthalpy of, where is it? It gas. 122.65. So BTU per pound. So for the third effect, so this is second effect. For the third effect, this is at T3, which is 110 degrees F. You only need the vapor, saturated vapor enthalpy because the third effect vapor is already condensed. So you don't need anymore the liquid, saturated liquid enthalpy. So 1,109.3 BTU per pound. So you're done with all the vapor enthalpies. Then we go to that of the liquid. So you'll be using this later when you do your energy balance. Then we go to liquid enthalpies. So for your HF, since the CP of the solution is just CP of water, meaning all the CPs will be 1.0. And you're simply going to use the temperature of the fluid itself. So for the feed, it's 180. And take note, the temperature that you're going to subtract from this is the datum temperature, which is 32. If the problem is in SI, your datum temperature is 25. Okay, so 180 minus 32, and this is 148 BTU per pound. Then the same goes true for HL1. the liquor enthalpy, so 180. The temperature of the liquor in effect 1 is of course the temperature of effect 1, which is 190.43, or the boiling point temperature of effect 1. So 190.43 is still minus 32. So this is your procedure when you are determining the enthalpies based on CPs and there is no boiling point rise. So you use the datum temperature concept. So HL2 is T2 154.69 minus 32. You have here 122.69 BTU per pound. And HL3 1.0 and of course 110 minus 32. And this should give you 98 BTU per pound. Okay? Now, if we do material balance on each effect, so a material balance on effect 1, so you'll have L3 equal to V1 plus L1. So in your effect 1, the feed is the liquor from the third effect, if you could remember. The liquor from the third effect is the feed of the first effect. So this is not the usual problem that you encounter. So then this is L3 equal to V1, the vapor leaving it, plus L1. Now, your V1, based on the assumption that it's the water evaporated is equals to 291.67 plus 125 for the L1 that we have computed a while ago. So it's all computed. So your L3 is 416.67 BTU. Oh, sorry, this is already amount, so this is in pounds. Second effect, material balance. So ang nagsunod sa second effect will be the feed. The one that leaves will be the vapor, and it's of course saturated liquor. We have this assumption of the feed, which is 1,000. We have this for the vapor, and L2 is unknown. So in the process, you get to know the liquor that leaves the second effect. Okay. Then for effect 3, you'll have liquor from the second effect, vapor from effect 3, and liquor from effect 3. So the liquor from the second effect computed from our second material balance, V3, which is 291.67. This will give you L3. So you have an L3 here of 708. Oh, sorry. An L3 here, which is based on the one computed in the first effect, which is 416.67. So if you're going to actually this one checks, okay? Checking lang siya. Now, when we do energy balance, so this is material balance. So material balance in each effects. Then we go to energy balance. Energy balance on each effect. So effect 1 energy balance will be, of course, you have this heating medium. The steam is the heating medium in the first effect. The stream that leaves is the V1H1, the L1 and the HL1. And of course, the feed, which is L3, HL3 is being subtracted. Actually, this one came from the left side. This is your feed plus the energy content of the steam equal to the energy content of the vapor plus that of the liquor. You have here the lambda because you have the condensate from the steam also. So it's saturated vapor enthalpy minus saturated liquid enthalpy will be lambda. Of course, the steam amount is maintained constant. Does not have any value deducted from it. Okay, so it's kept constant in the process. So you'll have in the second effect, energy balance, you'll have the V1 times the H1 minus H1, small h1, because the vapor that you use as heating medium in the second effect will also be condensed to liquid. And as such, you need to subtract its saturated liquid enthalpy, which I represented as small h sub 1 in our here, in here. Okay, this refers to the saturated liquid enthalpies based on the temperature. So you have this one. And this should be equated to B2H2 plus L2HL2 minus, in the second effect, we have the feed introduced. So actually the feed is coming from the left side, which is transferred here. For the third effect, energy balance, you have the heating medium in the third effect is the vapor from the second effect. So it will be H2 minus small h2 equal to V3H3 plus L3HL3. The feed in the third effect is your liquor from the second effect. So you'll have L2HL2. So this one came from the left side. So these are all your energy balances. And if you do substitute values, in equation, okay, we'll have this labeled equation. So you will know the values, how you get the values. So this is equation 2, 3, and 4. Let me check what did I label as equation 1. I think our equation 1 is the overall material balance. Okay. Before I proceed, take a picture of this so you can refer to it and rewrite it later for you to understand the solution properly. Take a picture of this. This is the next step. Then picture of this for getting the values of the enthalpies. Then this, where you get the values of the liquor, that the enthalpies of the liquor and the liquor values themselves. This where you did the energy balance equation. Now, if you work out the equations 3, 4, and 1, 3, 4, and 1, without, take note without substituting the assumed values of V1, V2, and V3, okay? You use equation 3, 4, 1. So you use equation 3, 4, 1 without substituting the assumed value of V1, V2, and V3, which are equal. You'll be getting the values of the 3 vapors produced. Okay? You work out the 3 equations, you'll get the value of the vapors produced, the actual that is, because we have it assumed. So the actual values that you will be getting is 272.04, 290.67, and 312.30. All of which having unit in pounds. Now, if you get the average of this is 291.67 pounds. Since this computed this, the actual vapor evaporated in each effect does not deviate by more than 10% from the average, because remember, our vapor assumed is 291.67. The average is, can you compute the average of this, please? 272.04, 290.67, and 312.30. Pila ang V average niya? Amo manggid niyo. Okay, so kung amo manggid na siya, ang iya value, ang 291.67, if you go back to the total vapor evaporated, which we divided by 3, it's also 291.67. So wala siya nag-deviate ang aton nga actual vapor computed from the three working equations, 3, 4, and 1, hindi niya ha, kay tungod ni scheme na siya. Then it's okay for you to go on. You did not go back to the trial and error thing of having to correct the the vapors that you initially assumed to be equal to this actual value. Pwede ka lang ka-proceed nga amo lang to gyapon nga value ang gamiton mo tungod nga ang aton nga V average using these three values, actual values, does not deviate much by more than 10%. That is our checking there. So we can only proceed. So if that is the case, we can now proceed to determining the areas. So how do we determine the areas? Okay. So remember, in computing for the areas, we have Q1, the heating, the heat that is used in the first effect is actually V1 H1 plus L1 HL1 minus L3 HL3. This is your Q1, which is actually S lambda S. You cannot compute Q1 using S lambda S because you do not know S. So you have to go back to each of the values that you got and solve for Q1 and equate it to U1, A1, delta T1. You know U1, it's given in the problem. You know delta T1, we have computed it based on our temperature distribution diagram. So you'll get an A1 value of 16.68. It's squared in this case. Now for U2, A2, delta T2, which is actually your Q2, that will be your B2H2 plus L2HL2 because this is the heat supplied in the second effect minus FHF. The vapor energy plus the liquor energy minus the feed energy is the energy supplied by your heating medium in the second effect, which is also equal to this one. All this, you know, so you can only solve, you can now solve for A2. So in this case, A2 is 14.93 feet squared. Now you do the same for U3, A3, delta T3, which is your Q3, the heat that is supplied in the third effects, following the same format. It's V3H3 plus L3HL3 minus the feed in the third effect, which is L2HL2. Now, you'll be getting all of this, you know, except your A3. Your A3 in this case is 16.34 feet squared. Just like checking whether these individual values of area is acceptable if our evaporator is identical, you get the A mean. Sorry, you may take a screenshot of this. That one. So you will get the A mean, that would be A1, sorry. That would be A1 plus A2 plus A3. We divided by 3. The mean area that you'll be computing is 15.98 square feet. If you compute the error, of 16.68, 14.93, and 16.34, from this mean area, it will not exceed by more than 10%. So since this is the second checking already for multiple effect evaporation system, if areas are the same, more or less, since actual computed areas does not deviate from the mean by more than 10%, then you can proceed to determining the requirement in the problem. So if we're going to go back, what does the problem require? You need the steam, the V, and the F. So in this case, we can compute now for S from the formula S lambda S, this one. So your S lambda S is equal to U1 A1 delta T1, which is your Q1. You know this, you use this one. You use the average already because you cannot use the actual A's because they vary. When you report for the area of each effects in multiple effect evaporation system, you report the average of the areas computed. So you use 15.98 for the area here. So amuna na siya nga area ang gamiton niyo. So you'll be getting an S value anyway. We determined already the lambda S a while ago. You'll get a steam value of 302 pounds. So of course, that's 302 pounds per hour of steam that is used. Okay? Then we can determine the total, the V over S. So the next thing that we will do is the determination of the V over S. So if you do material balance, it has to be the actual value of the feed already. Remember, we started with a basis of 1,000 pounds of feed. So we will determine the actual feed by making use of the areas that are provided in the problem for our effects. So the actual feed divided by the actual area of 1,500, it's given here. The problem gives the actual area of 1,500. Okay, 1,500 for each effect. This is just ratio and proportion equal to, so this is actual. And you will have the ratio over here of F over A assumed based on the assumption. Because the A computed here, this A mean, all those A's are based on the assumption of 1,000 pounds of feed. So we will determine the actual feed. So F over 1,500 is equal to assumed F over the A, which is 15.98. So the actual feed for this size of evaporator, basing on the total area of the calandria tubes, is 93,867.33 pounds. So this is the actual feed that was actually processed by your multiple effect evaporation system. You'll use this actual feed, that way you will determine the actual water, total water evaporated. So how will you determine the actual? So the same thing, this is already the answer, by the way, for our feed. This is the S that we'll be using for determining the vapor economy or the steam economy, or the rather evaporator economy. Take a screenshot before I go to the next slide. Okay. Now, we do overall solid balance based on the actual feed that was processed, and that is feed XF gyapon equal to L1 x L1. So in this case, you have 93,867.33 equal, we multiply it to XF, which is 5% solid. This time, you will be getting the actual L1. Because again, our L1 is based on the assumption of the 1,000 pounds of feed. So your L1 is equal to 11,733.42 pounds. Now, when you do overall material balance, you need this L1, of course, because this is your final product. So your feed is equal to the final product plus the actual total water evaporated. So 93,867.33 is equal to 11733.42 plus the total water evaporated. If you recall, ang tanan-tanang nga sob, halin sa sugod is based on the assumption of 1,000 pounds of feed, so they have to be corrected. So your B then, the total water evaporated is 82,133.91 pounds. Now, since you have already the actual, then you can determine the evaporator or steam economy. Your 82,133.91 divided by the steam, which is 302 pounds. Why not correct the steam? Because the steam that was used is not dependent on your assumption of the feed. So where was I? So in this case, you divide, and this will give you 2.90 pounds water evaporated over pounds steam used. So this is showing you how economical is your system, because for every pound of steam that you use, you're able to evaporate 2.9 pounds of water, which is really economical because 1 pound lang sang steam, amo na ni much of water ang imo na evaporate. So for this problem, this is your answer for the feed, and this is your answer for the evaporator economy. This was really chosen because I chose this one because there's no need for us to do recomputing. Meaning, you just simply follow the procedure for multiple effective operation system. Correctly following it will not really require you to go back and do iterative process in correcting the values that you were able to get. Okay, so this is for multiple effect evaporation system. To get the 2.90 pounds of water evaporated per pound of steam used, you need to correct the S in here in the V over S. You cannot, by the way, use directly the 302 because it's dependent on the area 1 that we'll be using, which is 15.98 based on the 1,000 pounds of feed used. So there's a need for you to determine the actual S steam use if the area that we're going to use is 1,500 for each effect. So the actual S is 28,347.93, and that should be the S in here. So I place here 28,347.93. Please check if it will give you already the 2.90. That already accounts for the actual steam used if the area of each of the effect is 1,500. Do you get it? Did you get the 2.90 this time? Okay. So that's it. Okay? Sige.